Before anything else, if you like staying on top of what is really happening in football, drop a like and subscribe now. It helps a lot and makes sure you do not miss any important content. It is quick, free, and makes a difference. With that done, let's get straight to the point. The question many people are asking is direct and even a bit provocative. Why would someone leave Bournemouth, where they are a leading figure, to fight for a place in a star-studded Manchester City squad and possibly spend part of the time on the bench? This doubt appeared precisely because of Antoine Semenyo, who has become the big name of the transfer window, and it is no coincidence. Long before negotiations officially began, his name was already circulating in meetings, behind the scenes and discussions between directors and analysts. It is no exaggeration to say that Semenyo has become one of the most sought-after players on the market. Practically all the Premier League giants made inquiries or showed interest. Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Manchester City closely monitored the Ghanaian forward born in London. Some arrived earlier, others later, but all understood they were looking at a player on the rise, with intensity, physical strength, and the ability to decide matches faced with so many possibilities. He had to make a decision. Several doors open at the same time, several different projects, and a clock ticking against him because of a clause that would not remain active for very long. Even with all that context, the path chosen was clear: Manchester City. The choice drew praise, criticism, and questions, mainly because City's squad is full of wingers and players for the same roles in which he likes to operate. Many people wondered whether it would be worthwhile to swap guaranteed starter status for an environment with intense competition, huge expectations, and daily pressure. But the answer to this choice is not only about a place on the pitch, it lies in the whole set of factors around him. When you look at the decision calmly, it is clear Semenyo did not act on impulse. There is sporting logic, personal ambition, and career planning. One of the simplest points to understand is the sporting side. City offer an immediate horizon of fighting for trophies in practically every competition they play. For a player who leaves halfway through the season, that detail weighs a lot. He is not changing clubs to rebuild something from scratch, but to join a team that already lives at the top, used to finals, decisive matches, and big European nights. The chance of lifting silverware straight away is much higher there than in most of the other options. On top of that, there is the figure who remains decisive for many players: Pep Guardiola. Working with a manager capable of maximizing your attributes, correcting details, and turning good pieces into protagonists carries serious weight. Guardiola has that pull. Even with comments that his strict system can limit the freedom of wingers, most players see that experience as a step forward in their career. It is the chance to learn from someone considered a world reference, both on the tactics board and on the pitch. Semenyo, like any ambitious player, sees the opportunity to evolve tactically and technically. The appeal of being coached every day by a manager who demands the maximum and at the same time constantly takes his squad into title races at the highest level is enormous. And that explains a lot of his decision. It is not just about playing, but about the environment he wants to be in and who he wants to guide his development. Another point little talked about, but essential, is the way City approached him. In negotiations, players can sense when they are truly a priority and when they are just another name on a list. City were direct, clear, and quick. They came in firmly, showing they wanted to get the deal done. That kind of stance inspires confidence. While other clubs hesitated, backed off, or shifted their focus, City kept clarity and intensity in the talks. For a player in the best form of his career, that counts a lot. The fit on the pitch was also a crucial part. At Manchester United, he would hardly play consistently in the area of the pitch where he feels most comfortable. Different strategies, systems without classic wingers and more central roles could take him away from the zone where he performs best. At Liverpool, the natural scenario would place him as a possible successor to Salah, but mainly on the right, again not exactly his favorite position. At City, the possibility of playing on the left, with constant rotation in the squad, seemed much more aligned with what he is looking for. The financial factor also exists, and it would be naive to ignore it. City can offer structure, stability, and a wage projection compatible with a player on the rise. Some clubs historically negotiate salaries more rigidly, and that matters when looking at the long term. For those planning a career, not just a season, those details matter. He knows he will have to fight for minutes, but he also knows he will be in a solid context, with planning and room for his value to grow. There is also the emotional side of the story. Semenyo grew up supporting Arsenal and has already spoken about it. If Arsenal had gone in with full force, the outcome could have been different. The emotional connection, the childhood dream, and identification with the colors all have weight. But football is also about timing, and the club that showed more conviction was Manchester City. Arsenal watched, but did not move with the same intensity. Meanwhile, City went in and put their foot down. The curious thing is that, by accepting the heavy competition in City's squad, Semenyo sends a clear message about his own mentality. He is not running away from a fight for a place. On the contrary, he is going exactly into the environment where competition is most intense. That shows confidence in his own potential and the willingness to prove his worth every day. It is a bet on himself and on the project that convinced him in this context. The initial question gains a new layer. It is not just about leaving Bournemouth to sit on the bench. It is about swapping one stage of his career for another. It is giving up immediate comfort in exchange for the chance to be at the very highest level, competing for everything, learning from one of the most influential managers, and sharing a dressing room with some of the best players in the world. For some, it is taking a risk. For others, it is exactly the kind of move that defines who wants to go further. The recent path of big signings also serves as both warning and inspiration. Some names have arrived at big clubs and failed to deliver what was expected. Others have flourished precisely in highly competitive environments. Semenyo has watched all of that up close. He knows nothing is guaranteed, but he also knows this is the perfect window to take a leap. It is impossible to ignore that his decision also affects rival fan bases. Liverpool, United, and others were watching closely. Some believed they had the technical edge, others, the financial one. In the end, what weighed most was who showed more clarity, more of a project, and more determination at the negotiating table. And that was decisive in shaping the forward's future. At the same time, City gain a powerful, energetic, direct player capable of speeding up the game, pressing high and unsettling defenses. He arrives not as a savior, but as a rotation piece capable of deciding specific matches. This mixture of internal competition, external competitiveness, and personal ambition creates an explosive context for the next chapters of his career, and all of that answers, in a more complete way, the question so many people ask. It is not just about the bench. It is about context, project, manager, ambition, and the feeling of being exactly where the biggest decisions are made. It is about swapping what is safe and comfortable for what is big and challenging. Some would not do it. Semenyo did, following on exactly from where we stopped. There is an important detail that completes this puzzle and makes everything fit together even more. When a player chooses a club the size of Manchester City, he is not thinking only about the present, but also about how this impacts his global image. Playing for a team that competes on the biggest stages in world football increases visibility, opens commercial doors, improves his standing for national team selection, and raises the weight of his name. Semenyo knows that, playing on a stage at this level, every appearance, every goal, and every good performance gains multiplied repercussion. This international exposure also connects directly with the dream of many African players, becoming a reference point for their country and their continent. Wearing such a successful shirt and sharing a pitch with established stars strengthens his role as a representative of Ghana in international competitions. That motivates him, pushes him, creates a sense of responsibility and purpose. It is not just a change of club, it is a symbolic step up in his career at the same time. The pressure that comes with this environment is not small. At City, every misplaced pass is questioned, every performance is debated, and every minute on the pitch is closely watched. That demands emotional maturity, discipline, and the ability to withstand criticism. And it is precisely here that many see another layer to Semenyo's choice. He is willing to be tested to the limit. He prefers to run the risk of making mistakes under the spotlight than stay in a comfort zone with little projection on the pitch. City's playing style also favors attributes of his that may not yet have been seen at their peak. Quick movements in tight spaces, constant combinations, high intensity in the press after losing the ball, and freedom to attack diagonally are aspects that match his physical and aggressive style. That means the right environment can reveal new versions of the player that the public do not yet fully know. There is also the squad factor. Training every day with players of the highest level naturally raises an individual's standard. Internal competition is not just for a place in the starting 11, but also for performance. Every training session becomes a lesson. Living with more experienced players speeds up development. It is like being on a permanent intensive course where mistakes are corrected quickly and what you do well is maximized. For someone looking for growth, this is fertile ground off the pitch. The club's structure is a chapter of its own. Technological resources, an advanced medical department, detailed performance analysis, and tailored physical planning make a difference to longevity and output. Semenyo arrives in an environment that prepares the player not only for the next match, but for the coming years of his career. That helps reduce injuries, improve conditioning, and extract the maximum from his athletic capacity. Looking back, it is clear that his journey at Bournemouth was fundamental. There he earned confidence, space, shadow, and light. It was where he made mistakes, got things right, matured, and became attractive on the market. But there are moments when a player feels they have extracted almost everything from one cycle and need a new challenge to keep growing. The move to City represents exactly that transition. Leaving the role of main figure at a mid-table side to chase recognition on a global scale in the supporters' minds, the doubt always remains. Will he manage to establish himself? Will he become a starter? Will he live up to the expectation? These are natural questions, but they are part of any move of this magnitude. The truth is, the answer does not always come straight away. Sometimes the impact is gradual, built through appearances off the bench, decisive performances in specific games, and confidence that grows step by step. The process matters just as much as the final outcome. It is also important to see how the dressing room welcomes him. Winning groups tend to be highly competitive, but they also know how to embrace those who arrive to add to the team. If he can adapt quickly and show commitment every day, he will earn respect not only from the fans, but above all, from his teammates. That is a crucial point for any player to truly establish themselves in a squad of this size, connecting all of this. Semenyo's decision starts to make even more sense. It brings together sporting ambition, financial perspective, personal growth, tactical evolution, and global visibility. It stops being just a club switch and becomes a career project built with strategy. Those who only look at the risk of sitting on the bench perhaps do not see the full picture he had in mind. When accepting this opportunity, there is symbolism in this choice. It shows he sees himself as ready to take a leap. He could have followed a safer path, chosen a club with less competition, guaranteed an immediate starting place, and faced less pressure. But he chose the most demanding, toughest, most scrutinized environment. That says a lot about his competitive mindset and belief in his own talent. Players with that attitude tend to write memorable chapters. Whether through titles or big performances, when you put all of this together, it becomes clear that the original question has a broad answer. It is not just about leaving Bournemouth and possibly becoming an option on the bench. It is about embracing a scenario where everything is bigger. The challenges, the expectations, the learning, the victories, and even the criticism. He chose to be where the demands are highest because he believes that is where his football can reach its peak. And of course, time will be the judge of this decision. Football has a short memory when it comes to defeats, but it also knows how to celebrate those who handle pressure and deliver. If Semenyo manages to turn this opportunity into consistent performances, he will be able to look back and see this choice as the definitive turning point of his career. If not, he will still have experienced something very few do, facing the top of the football world head-on. The context and the motivations are now clear. The decision that many questioned at the start, when analyzed in depth, proves to be coherent and aligned with the objectives of someone who does not want just to take part, but truly compete for the maximum possible. For that reason, regardless of divided opinions, it is undeniable that this move is one of the most significant moments of the current window. If you have made it this far, it means you enjoy this kind of long, well-explained content. So if you have not yet left a like, now is the time. Subscribe and turn on notifications to keep receiving analyses like this. It helps a lot and allows more people to gain access to this work.